Hello, everyone. In today's episode, I'm joined with Jen, and in today's episode is going to be a really interesting one because Jen is going to talk to us about what she does, a little bit who she is, and the topic is going to be autism today. So, thank you, Jen, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This is really nice
Mm.
to be here with you.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun talk, isn't it? Because it's yeah, it's gonna be a nice talk about like what you do and everything.
Yeah, I
Mm.
appreciate it. Yeah, I'm kind of new to being on video, but you made me feel really comfortable and I'm ready to share what I know.
Yeah. So Jen, if you could do a little introduction for me, just say to anyone listening who you are.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Jen Slayton, and I founded the company called Autism 360 Support. And I am a psychotherapist and a coach, and my specialty is neurodiversity and particularly autism. I actually come from a neurodiverse family. Nobody was diagnosed, and I have a lot of confusion and self-esteem issues because we just didn't weren't understanding each other, and I felt like everything was because of me, which is what children do is they take on responsibility for everything around them. And I just kind of drifted in like high school and college years. I just drifted into working with autistic people, and I felt like I had this kind of connection that the other people that were working with me didn't have. And I saw beyond um, the approach at the time was to we want to change behavior, and it doesn't really matter about the person or the feelings or the emotion. And I always felt that that person inside. And at that time, the autistic people that were getting diagnosed had more external, obvious kind of traits. So there was more like stimming and lack of communication and that kind of thing. And so anyway, I always felt this special connection. And it wasn't until in the middle of my adult life that I started to realize that my own family was neurodiverse, and I myself have traits, but I'm not to the cat to where I would be diagnosable. But it was just the hugest aha moment, and I'm like, oh my god, I couldn't see what was in front of me, and it made sense. My life path, my connection to autism, my love for autistic people, and um, so I just, in my psychotherapy, I do work with the general population, but I do specialize in autism. So I work with a lot with parents or adults in a therapy setting. And I've also worked with couples, which it happens a lot that one of the partners is not diagnosed. And so understanding, just like it was for me, when you understand the diagnosis and how the brains are wired differently, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I've done, I worked for 20 years as an in-home consultant. So I'd go into the family home where there was a autistic child or a child that had other like neurodiverse challenges, and I helped the parents come up with strategies and even the whole family system, how to support everybody in the family. And I just loved that job. I just loved meeting the families and being hands-on so I could actually kind of model and see changes. And that hands-on experience has really helped me to understand the types of things that work and don't work, and that support children and support families. And so I've always wanted to do online coaching, and I had started doing it for years. I never had the time. And so when COVID hit, I had some time. So I finished my website and I started, going on Clubhouse and Instagram, which is social media is all new for me. and meeting fantastic people and just kind of spreading what I know. And I think the basic thing that about me is that I look at mental health issues and I look at the emotional needs and in combination with how do you function in a neurotypical world. So that was longer than I thought I would talk about myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting, Jen. Hearing about you was a consultant before, so you had even like when you was at school, you had quite a lot of knowledge of autism and like come from a family, as you say, that has autism and then I say pretty much most of your life you've known autism, I'd say, because like from school and then going as a consultant in people's homes and then now what you're doing like with your coaching like online as well, talking to different people. So you're quite knowledgeable, I'd say, about autism.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, it just kind of came naturally to me because of the family. I think it was just kind of in our wired into our brains, and so it was very familiar in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And with like working with different people, do you have like methods what you do, or like before like seeing them in person? Would you say?
Well, it depends. Before I see them, I don't have a lot of strategies beforehand. If it's a child and if they have evaluations, or in the US, we call them IEPs, it's a school, like their goals for school and stuff. I will look those kind of things over. But basically, because I've been doing this for so long, and because I also have this kind of intuitive feel, I just sit down with people and do my first session I ask lots of questions. And for me, when I hear something, it I go in a certain direction because I recognize it. So I don't need to go through checklists and have people fill out all of that material because it just it just comes to me. And I find checklists are a little limiting anyway. Symptom checklist,
Yeah.
because when I do them and it's like sometimes, always, never, and I'm like, well, it doesn't quite fit. Like it depends on the situation. So when I'm interviewing people, I can be totally flexible, and it doesn't really take me that long to get to the heart of things. Um, so yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does. Like, was it like in code where you started like coaching and doing it? Was that where it all started from there? Like as you said, you had more free time.
The Why I'm starting coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really kind of I think it's a calling, because it's not easy for me to be this public. It's been kind of my own internal journey. I think it's kind of a spiritual journey and my own growth to be able to talk about myself and kind of network and put myself out there has been really a challenge. So it would have been easier for me to not do it. So I think, and I also feel that I don't know, this is kind of hard for me to say. It makes me a little self-conscious, but I feel like I have some unique gifts because of the psychotherapy. I have training as a behaviorist. So I understand when there's really severe behaviors, techniques, and strategies that can be really helpful, but I pair it with the emotional part of it, the mental health part of it. And that's been something, at least in the US, I think has been so missing, is to just look at when we want to correct behaviors so that autistic individuals can fit into a neurotypical world and they can act neurotypical, and disregard the toll and the trauma that that takes on people. Um, and so I think that's like I said, kind of a calling for me to help spread that word and help people. Um, it's so moving to me when I help adults figure out their diagnosis. Um, and I can't legally diagnose people outside of California where I'm licensed, but I can help people understand their symptoms and help them put a label to it. And I even get teary talking about it. It's so life-changing because they've always felt there's something wrong with them. They don't understand why, they can't fit in, all of this stuff. And when the majority of people, when they figure out what it is, such a relief, and it's so life-changing. And I just love doing it. It's so in my heart. And so I pushed myself to get out in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, because yeah, I think that's good, and it's a good you enjoy it as well, because um, you don't want it, like, you wouldn't do it if you didn't enjoy it, would you?
That's right. I
Yeah,
know, I feel so lucky because I do think some people have jobs that they don't like and that are drudgery, and to be able to find my passion and live my passion I feel really blessed about that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think it's good, and like, I suppose it keeps you busy.
Yes, it
Yeah,
does. It does. And it's always challenging. I've decided that I'm going to just take little steps at a time instead of blasting myself on social media because it's too stressful for me and too overwhelming. So like
yeah,
this is my second podcast, so it's getting a little easier. I do some lives on Instagram, and that was really hard, and now that's getting easier. So
yeah,
uh,
yeah. I've done some lives on Instagram as well, but like, I do it on my phone and get an arm ache because I'm holding it.
oh,
Only because I don't do it often. Like,
you have to get a stand for your phone. That's
I,
very important.
yeah, I should, shouldn't I? My phone's pretty new. I only got it this year, or end of last year actually, for Christmas, and I haven't got like, I should get a stand, but it's like planning where I'm going to sit and everything, I think. Um, but
Yeah.
but yeah, they are good, like, Instagram lives, but they can be stressful as well with everyone. Like, you can see all the comments, can't you, as you're talking, and reading them while talking to other people. You have to be good at multitasking.
Well, I actually do it with a partner. I have a friend of mine, so we do them together
Yeah,
and we interview people. So we have autistic adults and parents of autistic kids. And then she's the one that reads the comments. As I find it really hard. Yeah. Because then I lose my train of thought. And yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It's probably best for you to not do that bit then.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Um, talking about mental health, like, I feel like ever since pandemic, like when it started, that has been, like, talked about a little bit more than before. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Um, so many people are struggling, and I think there's not enough resources for
Mm,
people. Um, Something positive that has come out of it, for me and for a number of autistic people is we started. Have you heard of the Clubhouse app?
yeah, yeah, I have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's an app and it's audio. So people, you have a picture that represents yourself, but it's no visual interaction. And there's a wonderful autism community there where they call them rooms where you come and meet to discuss topics. And I've made some really amazing connections and friends. And there's a lot of people that are be validated by, again, feeling alone and feeling different and finding out that that's not true. And that to me was a blessing that came out of the pandemic for a lot of people because we had the time, we had looking for ways to connect, and it's a relatively new app. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't heard of it long. Like a person came actually on and that they used it as well. And that they talked to me about it, and like they first mentioned it to me, and the first thing that comes to mind is like a clubhouse in in a caravan park or something like that. because if you don't explain it to someone that doesn't know what clubhouse is, that's what they'll probably think. Oh look,
That's so true. Yeah, yeah,
you got a
yeah.
clubhouse, and I could be thinking,
Yeah.
Jen, you been out clubbing at the clubhouse? Yeah.
Yes. Well, we can, I assume put my contact information there, and if people want to find out more or kind of connect with that community, I can help them with that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've been like I got the app, I downloaded it and everything, but I haven't actually created an account or anything yet because
Yeah.
I've been quite busy with other things. But when I have time, I would like to like look at it as it's just audio as well, like people not seeing your face, because I think that's what people worry about with these kind of apps, don't they? Like new ones, and they don't want to
Yeah.
see them. But if it's audio,
Yeah.
sounds pretty cool.
It's really nice. People like, I'll walk my dog sometimes when I'm on it, and you know, people are cooking dinner, so
Yeah,
very flexible.
yeah. I think it's yeah. It sounds good, but who knows? You could use it in like a clubhouse, couldn't you? Like go on clubhouse in a clubhouse.
Yeah, except
Yeah,
it's a little noisy to try to talk on it. Yeah.
yeah. What's
But
it?
I think it's interesting whenever there are difficult circumstances, tragedies, traumas, there are things to learn from it, to grow from it. There's a silver lining to a lot of things, and it's impossible to see when you're in it. But when you look back on things and realize, oh, well, if that hadn't happened, I never would have met this person, or I never would have learned and grown in this way. So that's kind of how I try to look at
Yeah,
these horrible events that happen in the world.
yeah. Is
And
it trying to focus on some other things, I suppose. Yeah, because like these last few years haven't been bright years, have they? We kind of last kind of good year was 2019, I think. The beginning part, and but
yeah,
but hopefully things do improve, and like doing what you're doing, Jen, and other people that do things they do, and it kind of, I suppose,
yeah,
distracts them from what's going on. And like we can't like we have phones, we have all those kind of things that keep us busy.
right. Well, and
Mm.
I've heard from autistic people and myself as well. I really thrived and it's still kind of going on here in the US, but in the shutdown, because I realized my energy is when I'm out and about and in traffic and shopping and all of that stuff, it takes energy from me. I'm very introverted. I like quiet. And I found being able to work from home has been such a blessing. And I've heard from a number of autistic people too that really find it um, such a better lifestyle because of the sensory overload in the world and learning about that. Because when have we had the chance to just stay home and realizing, oh gosh, I feel more peaceful. And of course, it's not for everybody because there are a lot of people that need that stimulation around people and they need to, and that was very and is very very, very difficult and can create depression, anxiety, all of that. So there's, both sides of that.
Yeah.
Um, How did you do in the pandemic? How was it for you, the shutdown?
Um, I didn't mind it, because as well I have an autism, an I have something that underlines my makes me really vulnerable, and um clinically extremely vulnerable. So I am kind of used to staying in some most of the time. But I took that time, the first lockdown, to go out and think a little bit, because I know everyone's gonna be indoors, so probably the best part to do that. Like other than at the moment, because there's no restrictions anymore over here. Like um like if you test
Oh,
positive, you don't have to isolate or anything. It's people's own choices now. So I think it's harder now than it was before. Um, so, but
it's harder having more choices. Is that what you're
mm,
saying?
it's harder to do. It's harder for I suppose, to keep safer, because more people are out and about.
Oh, right, right.
Um, but
Well,
yeah,
do you prefer, I mean, do you like to be out and about, or did you find yeah, so that's been hard for you?
yeah. In an ideal world, I love to be out and about, really. But
Yeah.
but how much havoc is caused, it's hard to do that when um not everyone understands other people's conditions
Yes.
and everything, and I find most people, well, like, it depends on the person, but some people don't understand, and some people don't want to, and it's hard that way when
Mhm.
everything changes, and like, and so something changes, then it's back again, like the lockdowns, for example, that they're not there, then they're back, not there, then they're
Right,
back.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I know, yes, hopefully it's in the rearview mirror now.
Mm.
Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have thought we'd been in a lockdown or even a pandemic, would we, in the first place?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I wouldn't, I'm not that surprised, really, because like, in the UK, people was getting loads of soaps, loads of toilet rolls,
Right.
and thinking, why do you need that? We should be keeping clean anyway. You mean?
Yeah, that happened here too. People were worried that we are gonna run out, so they bought up all the toilet paper,
Mm. You know what I did? I was playing over toilet roll. I played a little. There was a little challenge going on where how many kicks can you get on the toilet roll? um, and other people were complaining that I was doing that, because they were saying that other people could be using it, and in my mind I was thinking I was doing some fun, because we're on lockdown.
Right, right,
Wait,
right.
I want to do some fun. I'm going to use the toilet roll after, of course. I'm not gonna. Why would anyone want it? but but
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
it's yeah, like, and pandemic is still here. I think at the moment in the UK it's kind of worse worse than it actually was at the beginning. Like, near enough those cases and everything over here. So
wow.
at the minute,
Wow, I
yeah,
hadn't heard that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's yeah, just keeping safe and keeping busy as we do, Jen, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm curious, I think you told me, but when were you diagnosed with autism?
I was diagnosed in the old ages. I,
Okay.
um, 2009 and I was 9.
And how did your parents, did they tell you? How did they handle that with you?
I think it was up to them who actually got me the diagnosis. They saw something was there, and I don't think I wouldn't have thought. I might have got told straight away, but I did just before went to school. Um, so yeah, I was I don't remember it all very well, um, like the test and everything, but I know I had different tests to get diagnosed, um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it's actually quite interesting. because I spoke to another person from a different country, and over in UK we have high functioning and low functioning, and in other countries they don't have that. They just call it autism, which I think is right. They should be like that in every country. There shouldn't be a low and high functioning. I think, because it just it undermines it, doesn't it? So say if you're like high, or they're gonna think the low people aren't as much, or the other way around. So it's not fair, is it?
Well, I've heard from a lot of autistic adults that want to do away with that and talk about how they can be masking so much and people don't see the kind of struggles that they're having, and so they may appear, neurotypical, but really struggle and maybe come home at the end of the day and just melt down and all of that. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, because yeah, I wish it was like that over here. Like, yeah, it's just autism. Like there's no high or low. Although you can possibly see why they say high and low, because some people may look more severe or
Right.
autistic, which they feel like they need more help. But they do, but they can still do things in their own little way. Um, and like for people like me, like most people who have autism, and they get called they don't look autistic, and then s speaking nowadays of people actually who don't like that phrase, and they say, well, you're supposed to look like 'cause, yeah, I think they feel like that you should look more severe if you have autism, or you can't do anything. But
Right.
yeah, it's something that probably still
Well, and
continues going on.
yeah, and what's really interesting about that is that someone can have more obvious external symptoms and be brilliant and
Yeah,
can, write books and, express their feelings. But if you look at the external, you might not be able to see that and think, because they don't look neurotypical, that there's that's severe. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we all struggle. We have like everyone's, and that's why everyone's different who have autism, because someone that might be look more severe might be really smart at maths, and a
Exactly.
person who doesn't may struggle at it.
Exactly.
So and then in a classroom, a teacher might be sitting next to a person that looks more severe, and may struggle to speak,
Hmm.
and ask for help. Um, and they might be a maths whiz. They might be the next genius in the world.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, because I went to mainstream school, and then I went to a special school afterwards. So I experienced both worlds there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have run across parents, and I think it's particularly an issue in some cultures where they don't want to tell their child that they have autism because they think it's a label and they may use it as a crutch or an excuse. Um, and I try to talk to them about that it's best to help them understand, how their brain is wired, and that it doesn't mean it's bad, it's just different. And so some parents really, really struggle with that.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you were told, do you believe, when
Mm.
soon after you were diagnosed?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I believe, and I believe the kind of thing. It's right for everyone to tell them and not wait. Um, because if you tell them later on in life when they realise it themselves, I think it's harder then, and like so they know they're autistic,
Yeah,
and they might not
yeah,
have a clue. They probably won't if you tell them, if they get diagnosed early, like maybe 9 when I was. But of course, you're not going to understand it when, even if you're older in life and you're diagnosed with something. You're not going to know what that is, really, are you? Like like I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, Jen, when I
mm,
was 16, 17. And I didn't know what
wow,
that was. I like
yeah,
um
yeah,
I get told what it was. Um and it's an illness. It's like you have it for life, and you have to take certain medication, and it impacts you from the mouth down to your bum or all inside, so it's not visible for sometimes, but sometimes it can be, um, like with fatigue and stuff. So like although autism and a chronic illness are two different things, but they do have similar things where they're not also sometimes they're not as visible as other as some things. Like with everything, there's a visible thing and not a visible thing. So yeah, I do feel like with parents that
Yeah.
they should tell them child. I suppose it's hard if they are severe because they may not understand, but like what you're telling them sometimes. But I think it's good that you kind of like help the parents maybe to give them the choice to tell their children.
Yeah, and a lot of times we'll do that in a session that I'll be there and kind of help explain it because, like I said, it's just understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are, where you need help, what you're good at. And I think some people they don't understand really what autism is, and they have like a Hollywood image of it, or think of kids that are self-injurious or something, and so they feel they can be in denial of it, like not believe it or have shame. Like there are cultures where it's shameful
Yeah,
to have a child with different needs. So, but it's so important. I also work with a lot of ADHD individuals and kids, and they grow up, if they're not identified or treated, thinking that they're stupid because they can't focus. And so they have a hard time learning. And they can have brilliant minds. And then they always get in trouble because they're talking out in class because they're impulsive. And a lot of autistic people also have ADHD too.
yeah,
And it really crushes your self esteem. Um, feeling like you just can't, they start to hate school and all kinds of things. So to explain when I have a child and I explain to them, this is how your brain is wired, you can't help it. You need reminders to do things because your brain doesn't focus. And they're just like, oh, it just changes everything. It changes everything. So
yeah, yeah. I think like it's very important for like parents to understand it, like autism, especially if their children is. I know like parents can maybe not accept it themselves, like that their child is different and they may not be the same brain might what not the same as the parents,
right.
which is good because we don't want to have the same brain now.
Yeah.
um, but but yeah, I suppose it's hard for the parents as well, like
Mm.
just to understand it themselves and find
You're
out.
right. There's kind of sometimes a grieving process because they have this expectation that this is how my child is going to be. And let's say, a lot of autistic children have delays in their early development. So they might walk late, or especially talking can be really delayed. And of course, parents worry, will they ever talk? Will, they ever be able to get married, have a family, go to school? So all of those worries start to happen. So it is a period of adjustment and grief. And then there's so many amazing autism parents out there that once they kind of move through that, they see a purpose. This child is mine for a reason. And I love my child so much. I'll do anything for them. And they're just amazing. So yeah, it is definitely a process to get there.
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, like I wasn't a confident person when I was younger. I didn't accept it myself, having autism really. Um, I thought it's something that makes me dumb. Like I'm in school and I need more help than other people with some things. Um, and then yeah, yeah, it was pretty hard and not accepting it and not being confident. And yeah, I'm confident. I felt like once I get older, I have grown confident and doing different things, to doing different
Did
like core
anybody
courses.
did anybody talk to you about it or help you with those feelings? Did you keep them to yourself?
I think, like, for example, in a class, I wouldn't say I wouldn't ask for help really. Um, like for something from in a classroom with people that are doing the same work as me and they know what they're doing. Um, and I know what the task is, but I may struggle on this one particular question. And other people are getting it, they're saying it's really easy, and the teacher will come over and say if I'm doing it right, and I'll just say yeah, just because I didn't want other people to see that I was not
Mhm.
doing struggling. So I eventually, as the years went on, I did get more confidence because I did different programs and was an ambassador of an organisation which helped different people as well. So they helped me, so I was able to do. Eventually, I did a program called a Reach Out Speak Up program. I was working with a friend and another ambassador, but we taught young children how to build their confidence and stuff. So it's a bit different. Um,
Wow.
so it was I did it once the year of the pandemic, just before it was starting, like the March
Oh
time. Um,
my.
and eventually, because at that time there was nothing, was there? There wouldn't have been no vaccines or like tests or anything like that. So we had to be really careful and yeah, it worked out that first year, and then the following year, um, beginning of 2021, we did it online, and it worked, but not as well. But because we're so busy, like doing other projects, we might go back to that at some point. Hopefully, when still things improve, because they haven't really.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
we did think 2022 begin it's going to be a good year. Things are going to improve, but I wouldn't say much has at this minute. But
Yes.
um, uh,
Well, how would you like what is I'm gonna switch, I'm gonna interview you right now.
yeah,
What is a
okay.
couple of things that you would suggest to help build a child's confidence?
I would suggest, um, like I kind of like what things I would suggest is don't like if you need help, don't uh, don't feel like ashamed that you need that help
Mhm.
um because if you need it, you need it, and like try and speak what you're saying in your gut and the feelings, because like I didn't, and there were situations if I did, I'm in confrontations as well with particular teachers at mainstream. I could have done that and getting told off for things that were silly, really. There were instances where I get told off for going to somewhere that I think I was supposed to be, and it all got muddled up with communication and stuff.
Right.
So things like that, and yeah, I think being confident. I don't think many people. It's very good if you are confident at a young age, but the people I spoke to, they're probably more confident than I was when I was younger. I was thinking I can't do that, I can't do that, and now of course I'm confident now. Otherwise I wouldn't be speaking to you, Jen, would I? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. And I do think a big part of the confidence is to understand that we're all different
Mm,
and that I like when I was raised, you're supposed to be good at everything. You're supposed to get good grades in all subjects. You're supposed to, learn how to dance and be good at it and all this stuff. And people aren't. I mean, there may be a few super people that can do everything well, and then we compare ourselves to those people and feel less than. But as human beings, we have strengths and weaknesses, and we can't help how we were born and with our temperaments and the way our brains are wired. So it's not a personal flaw and kids will take that on that way. That kids will feel like it's them, there's something wrong with them, and feel ashamed and not want to ask for help, just like you're saying.
yeah.
And if nobody identifies it, nobody talks to the children and helps support them, then they grow up with self-esteem and it can even be traumatizing. You know?
Yeah, it can, and like if you don't get to that sort of support as well, especially when you're younger, like you get felt
Yeah,
to complete it to be rushed, and everything. Like especially like if you're in a classroom and a teacher expects you all to complete it in this amount of time, and you can't do it, and then expect everyone, the teacher would expect everyone to be do it all. Everyone's the same, like with their struggles and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's how it was. And like I'll say, especially in primary school, where you're sitting there and everyone has to complete this work. And I was on a table that needed additional help, but I don't like. I think now, like, speak to different people, and it's I think it's a little bit different where um, teachers actually, if they have a class of people that maybe are on the same level, and I think that's good. Like, if people are on the same level, it's not really like that in primary school, is it? I don't think, because if you're in primary, like, all different levels, and then as soon as you get into high school, s- secondary, you'll kind of put in the same bit, but it's difficult.
Yeah. I do really think schools need to adapt to teaching to neurodiversity and different, you know, at least here, I think there are some schools and some programs that are doing that, but for the most part, they don't. There's this one standard for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like going back to high functioning and low functioning. Like it should just be called autism, really, and then going to mainstream and special school should just be called school. Like, we wouldn't need these special schools if other people understood. Um, like in mainstream, which is, so some people do actually do well with autism in mainstream. I think
Mhm.
it kind of depends the kind of
Right.
school it is,
Right.
and maybe how you feel, like if you're confident, if you're not. Um,
Right, but there are kids that do need a smaller environment. It's a sensory overload to be in a regular, like here, I don't know, classroom sizes 30 something kids, and you go out to recess and everybody's screaming, running around, and everybody has lunch together and it's so loud. And so there's a lot of sensory overload issues too that makes it hard for some people to be able to, I don't know. I think the whole thing needs to be reworked. I'm
yeah,
not an educator, but let's look at the way we teach kids and.
shame we haven't got magic.
Well, in I believe it's Norway, they have do a lot more play with kids and they find that their learning improves. Where here in the US, they start giving kids homework in kindergarten. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
And if you have a learning challenge and you're in school all day stressed out, and then you come home and have to do homework, I've had parents tell me they spent hours trying to get their child to do homework.
yeah.
Yeah, it makes me crazy.
I remember coming back from when I was at school, and especially mainstream, having nearly homework every single day, and asking, basically getting my parents to do it for me because I didn't have a clue what to do. And even getting asked, am I having a good day when I get home and stuff, and just stuff like that, where it shouldn't be like that. Like,
Mm.
it was a big difference when I went to a special school, because I would get homework. I kind of know what to do as well, and it wouldn't be every day.
Right,
'Cause
right.
it gets really stressful, doesn't it? Like, if you have to have one every day and you have to be completed by next week, where you're going to get muddled up, which is which, and everything. So yeah, I think things do need to change. Like,
Well, I recommend to a lot of parents that I work with because you can hear there's a 504 plan, which is not a legal document, but you can get accommodations in school. And then we have the legal document, which is called the IEP, Individual Education Program, um, to modify homework, to eliminate homework. And I'll tell you one thing that's really common with the autistic brain is if it doesn't make sense to do the homework, if it's redundant, they like shut down. There's just no way that you're going to get some of these kids to write the sentence 5 times when I already did it once. Why I have to do it again? Have you ever experienced that yourself?
yeah,
That, yeah, yeah.
mm, yeah, you have to keep writing it down.
Yeah, but just that frustration of I already did it, or I already know this, or this is stupid, why do I have to do it? And just kind of
Yeah.
shutting down around it. Yeah.
Yeah. You shut down, don't you? Because you're not sure what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's another part of it as well. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's hard, isn't it? Because like processing it, it may take longer for someone to process something, and for another person, may be faster.
Or they might
Mm.
have a learning disability
Mm.
in, like I said, in math or reading, or, so yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard, isn't it? Like it is. It's depending on what you're doing. Like it might be a certain subject, a certain even day-to-day life. What you're doing when you're doing it, it just all depends, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you have somebody talking in
yeah,
your end? I can hear a
yeah.
voice over there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah. But yeah,
Mm.
like with going on into like special like helping people getting diagnosed, Jen. Like, how is that for you?
Yeah, it's so important. And like I
Mm.
was saying, that I do that for people. And since I've started this coaching, I've been helping people without being able to give them a formal diagnosis because of how licensing works. So I can only do that in the state of California.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's so important to understand. And it, like I was saying earlier, it's just life changing to realize that I'm
Yeah,
not broken, I'm not a mistake, this is how my brain is wired. And then to meet other people that have the similar kind of brain, it's
yeah,
it's so life changing, but it's also really emotional because I'm talking about adults that are getting diagnosed in adulthood.
yeah.
But it can be so emotional because all those years of struggle, and sometimes they'll even have, as they're getting adjusted to the idea, they'll have more stress or anxiety because everything that they pushed down their whole lives can kind of come to the surface now.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's great. Yeah, I think it's great that you actually help people get diagnosed. I think so.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's especially a huge issue for women because girls on the spectrum tend to, not, of course, everybody's different, but it's very common that they are better at masking than boys, that they pick up on, well, I wonder, look, that person laughs in this situation and they say this phrase in that situation. So they learn to imitate those social interactions, and but not really understanding why. And so they go through life not being diagnosed because they're really good at
Yeah,
masking and hiding. And the diagnosis was derived from autistic male, versus looking at there are differences in
yeah,
boys and girls. Yeah.
yeah. I think that's great. Yeah, I think that's brilliant, Jen. And just before we finish, because I think it's been really nice talking to you today, like hearing about what you do and everything like that. It's been really interesting. Um,
Thank you. It's been
um,
my honor to be here.
yeah. Is there any final questions that you have for me? Or anything?
Well, I want you to come on one of my Instagram lives
Yeah,
and talk about autism. I think
definitely,
that would be great.
definitely.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
definitely, I think that's gonna be. I love to do that. Like coming on your Instagram lives, talk about autism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Well,
Good.
I look forward to that, Jen. And it's been really nice talking to you. It's been a really nice talk.
Thank you. Me too. I really appreciate you
Yeah,
reaching out and inviting me, and I really enjoyed it.
thank you. It's been really lovely, and we'll definitely like Instagram live soon.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Bye.